Chapter 11. The New Normal. The morning sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow over Tadano Hitohito's room. He sat on the edge of his bed, tying the laces of his school shoes with practiced ease, his movements calm and deliberate. He glanced at the mirror, across the room. The reflection staring back at him no longer startled him. It hadn't for weeks now. His long, silky black hair framed his face perfectly, cascading over his shoulders like a waterfall. His features were delicate and soft, identical to Komi's, right down to the subtle curve of his lips and the faint blush on his cheeks that seemed permanent no matter what he did. His school uniform, a pleated skirt and fitted blazer, felt natural now, like it had always been his. This was his reality. And for the first time since his transformation began, he felt okay with it. Tadano stood, smoothing down his skirt. "All right, time to face another day," he muttered to himself, grabbing his bag. A typical morning. The walk to school had become a regular routine for Tadano and Komi. They didn't plan it. It just sort of happened. Every morning they'd meet at the same intersection, exchange a nod of acknowledgement, and walk side by side in comfortable silence. Today was no different. As Tadano approached the intersection, he spotted Komi waiting for him, her hands clasped neatly in front of her. Her hair shimmered in the sunlight, and her school bag hung lightly from her shoulder. "Good morning, Komi-san," Tadano said, his voice light and cheerful. Komi nodded, a small smile gracing her lips. As they walked, Tadano noticed a group of younger students staring at them, whispering furiously to one another. "Look, it's Komi-senpai. Wait. No, there's two of them. Do you think they're twins?" Tadano sighed, glancing at Komi. "You'd think people would be used to this by now." Komi's eyes twinkled with amusement, and she stifled a laugh behind her hand. "Don't encourage them," Tadano said, though he couldn't help but smile. Classroom chaos. When they arrived at the classroom, Tadano braced himself for the usual morning chaos. As soon as they stepped inside, Najimi was the first to pounce. "Tadano. Naimi-san," throwing an arm around his shoulder. "How's my favorite Komi clone doing today?" Tadano rolled his eyes. "I'm fine, thanks." "Are you sure?" "Because you're looking extra Komi-ish today," Najimi said, poking his cheek. "Seriously, it's uncanny. I can't decide if it's creepy or adorable." "Can you not?" Tadano said, swatting Najimi's hand away. Komi, who had been watching the exchange from her desk, tilted her head slightly, her lips twitching as if she were trying not to laugh. "Anyway," Najimi continued, plopping into the seat next to Tadano, "you should really start charging people for autographs. Do you know how many first years are obsessed with you and Komi-san? You'd make a fortune." "Great idea," Tadano said sarcastically. "I'll open a booth during lunch, maybe throw in some photos for an extra fee." Naimi gasped. "Tadano, I didn't know you had it in you." "I was joking," Tadano said flatly. "Too late. I'm already printing flyers." Lunch with friends. During lunch, Tadano, Komi, Naimi, and Yadano sat together in their usual spot under a tree in the courtyard. The gentle breeze rustled the leaves above them, and the sound of laughter and chatter filled the air. "Tadano-kun," Yadano said, adjusting her glasses, "have you noticed how your posture has improved since the transformation? Your back is straighter, your shoulders are more relaxed. It's very impressive." Thanks," Tadano said, unsure how to respond. "It's true," Naimi chimed in. "You used to slouch all the time. Now, you're practically a model student." "I think that's more," Because of the skirt, Tadano admitted. If I slouch, it feels weird. Naimi smirked. So what you're saying is, the skirt has made you a better person. Don't twist my words, Tadano said, glaring at them. Komi, sitting quietly beside him, suddenly picked up her notebook and began writing. She slid it across the table to Tadano. You've changed a lot, but in a good way. You seem more confident now. Tadano stared at the note, warmth spreading through his chest. He looked at Komi, who was watching him with a small, sincere smile. Thanks, Komi-san, he said softly. A moment of reflection. After school, Tadano found himself walking home alone. Komi had stayed behind for a meeting with the student council, and Najimi had run off to who knows where. The streets were quiet, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across the pavement. As he walked, Tadano thought back to everything that had happened over the past few months. The transformation, the awkward adjustments, the endless teasing from Najimi. It had been a whirlwind, to say the least. But through it all, one thing had remained constant. His friendship with Komi. He smiled to himself, remembering all the little moments they'd shared. Walking to school together, helping each other in class, sitting under the tree during lunch. They weren't just friends anymore. They were partners, equals, two people who understood each other in a way no one else could. For the first time, Tadano felt truly at peace with the changes he'd gone through. Life might never go back to the way it was before, but that was okay. A quiet goodbye. That evening, Tadano sat in his room, staring out the window at the stars. His phone buzzed on the desk beside him, and he picked it up to see a message from Komi. Komi, thank you, Tadano-kun, for everything. Tadano smiled, typing a quick reply. Tadano. Anytime, Komi-san. You're the best friend I could ask for. As he set the phone down, Tadano felt a sense of closure. The journey that had started with a simple wish had brought him closer to Komi and his classmates than he ever could have imagined. And for that, he was grateful.